Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Just wait for a few more to join and ask any questions in regards to liquidity pools. Yes, 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 Jez. Do, 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 do. So, welcome to the stream. I'm going to talk through on this stream about what I am doing for liquidity pools. And you can ask any questions you want. And I want to cover really a big misconception. And this has happened to a couple of guys really that have joined the community. And it's not understanding impermanent loss and ranges. So a big question that will come up over and over again. And let me just double check that if the audio is working as well, just give me a 1 in the chat and I need to just check it is working. If the audio is working as well, just give me a 1. GG. Right. A big misconception people have with liquidity pools is ranges. So people will say for a range or a pool, why can't I not go on, let's just say the easiest one of all? Why can't I go on to, for example, this, a BTC ETH range for a liquidity pool? And you know what? I don't want this 30% width because I want more APR. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on the tightest range possible. I'm going to earn 958%, 480% APR. And all I'm going to do is withdraw what's in the pool and then just keep rebalancing. But what people don't realize is the aim of the game really is to accumulate as many fees within this particular range as possible. Therefore, when and if the coin, whichever way it goes, up or down, comes out of the fee making area, if it is a quick rise or a quick fall or whatever, and you don't want to wait until to go back in, you have to withdraw. Either way it goes, you may slightly lose. That is what people talk about impermanent loss. You may slightly lose value of the crypto you put in. However, this will not happen if you have made some decent fees whilst it's in. So, for example, if you look at a new pool that I'm testing, it's an Ethereum Keter-based pool with a 64% width, right? Pretty big width. I've earned $21 so far, right? So the aim is, if it did go out the range ridiculously, obviously I'd either be left with ETH or Keter, depending on which way the price went. And then the idea is, if it did do that and it was slightly less value than what I put in, that the fees I would have earned outweigh that anyway. Yeah? And of course, it depends what you do with the fees as well, because if you want to put the fees back into the pool, they'll obviously bolster the assets in the pool, which will obviously make it, if it goes out of range, worth more than what you put in. Or, you have an amount at the side of the fees you've taken from that pool, so you know what you've earned. So if you add up the fees plus what you withdraw, in theory, it should be more than what you put in whatever combination of assets you get out. But this is why you don't go for a ridiculously tight range. You've got to be sensible in what you do. And don't chase the yield. This is a width of 64% and it's still getting a great APR. But like I said, if you're going in the pools on something like this and you're just reducing the width to something ridiculous, then it's just going to go out of range over and over and over and over again. Of course, there'll be concentrated fees, but you may not earn enough fees in that very small time it is in here. And the reason people lose money in these particular pools is the fact that they do everything very, very quickly, right? What that means is they go in a pool, right? They go in a pool and they go in a pool, in a shitcoin pool, and they go for the high APY, right? So they're doing two things wrong. So they're putting a really tight range. So I could go on here, right? Trying to think of a dodgy coin. I mean, you can search them on here, to be fair, especially with low TVL as well. I'm trying to think of some meme coins. SHIB. To be fair, we need some low cap meme coins. I don't really know any. It's Pengu one. To be fair, you'll probably be able to find. Here we are. Look at all these. See. Stuff like this. 983% on. To be fair though, ASTR is not a low cap, I don't think. See, these are all ridiculously low TVL. This, for example, right? This is a shitcoin pool. But what people will do is look at that width. They'll put the width all the way like this. And this isn't even earning a ridiculous amount, this pool, but just let's say it is, like, because some of them are like some of them are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. So people will do this on shitcoin pools, see that they're getting a ridiculous APR or APY, and they'll be getting so many tokens, but then the tokens will crash, then they'll go out of range, and then they've lost a lot more than they've put in. And that's what happens over and over and over and over and over again, right? And that is why, one, we say stick to the coins that you've got, that you believe in, and two, really you want to pair something with something that is, so for example, this, you guys know that I like Keter, right? Keter is a coin that I like. Keter is a coin that I have accumulated. Keter is a coin that I've sent $1,000 to the wrong address, but that's another story. But I want to accumulate more. I want to use it in a liquidity pool, and I've paired it with ETH. It's got a decent range of 64%. Probably could do more, arguably, but it's earning a decent amount. So the point as to if it does and when it does go out of range, I've earned enough fees to cover it. And it's one of them in terms of going out of range. If you've got a shit coin, it's less likely to come back in range. Let's be honest, right? I know a lot of people are like, well, what if the price of ETH goes half? What if the price, there's always a risk with anything you do, right? There's always a risk with anything that you do. But to me, there's a risk with anything. There's a risk with buying stocks. And the safe option, even though it isn't safe, is just to leave your money in your bank getting 2%, which is less than inflation. And there is, it is a bit of a shit analogy, but there is an analogy where it says a ship is most safest in the port, but a ship is made for sailing, you know? And it's more fun. What is more fun? Looking at this, seeing what cryptocurrency that you can yield, looking what pools, it's a bit more exciting, let's be honest, than going to NatWest, going to Santander. Oh, look, 5%. I can get a massive 5%. Oh, wait a minute. I can only put in £300 a month. And guess what? I can have it for max a year. Great. So even if I put 10,000 in at 5%, I'm getting 500 quid back of 10 grand or over a year. Great. Fantastic. And that's probably less than inflation. And that's the harsh reality, really. Now, you can, VFAT sometimes isn't good for working out potential ROI in terms of what you could get. Orca is better at demonstrating it visually for you guys. And I'll try and get an asset to asset one so you can visualize it a bit better. So you can see on this 10% range gets you 10% a month. If you had are we saying 10 grand? Is that what we're saying? So that's the difference. Now, obviously, this range is probably too tight. And it's a case of messing around with it, You can use Trading View for when you're trying to work out ranges in terms of where was the range last. So if you had a Solana USD pool, you can look a bit better on the chart. And you can zoom out. And you can think, right, this is the last 2 years on the weekly close, or the candle close. Oh, wrong thing. The highest it got is around 250. And the lowest it got is 103. And the last time it was out without it broke that range was December 23. Right? So if it's been in that range for 2 years, it could be in that range for another 2 years. But you're probably going to earn not as many fees within that. So you may want to lower it a bit to say here. Last time it broke that was October. So 5 months. If it's in range for 5 months, you're going to earn some decent fees. Or you could even pull that up as well. Everything is just testing. And everything is just playing around. Oh, sorry, I wasn't even showing that screen. Right, here we go. So you look back at this range and you can see what I'm doing. Just seeing how long it's been in between certain ranges for a certain amount of time. And this is where you can play about with ranges and play around with APRs and APYs to see what works for you. Because there's a lot of variables, you know? You've got the amount of crypto you're putting in, the amount of crypto you want, or dollar cost value you want, and trying to keep it in range for a decent amount of time. Therefore, if it goes out of range and you need to reset the ranges, it's not going to be less than what you put in. That is where people don't understand impermanent loss enough. And they worry that something's gone out of range and they've lost all the money, which isn't the case. Isn't the case. And this is why you've got to document what you earn in a pool. So you make sure how much crypto you've accumulated, so that if you do take it out, you know that you're making more money. Right? Now, this is where the homework comes in for you guys. And this is what we say to the guys in the group. You've got to look at different assets. So let's just say you love Solana, right? You may look at Solana USD. Then you may go on Orca and think, right, what other pools are there? Right, pump Solana. So you've got the chart here. Make a note in your notebook. How long has this been in range? Right, okay. Now we go pump Solana. Right, another chart to look at. I've already made some marks on here. How long has that lasted? You may need a better chart than this, to be honest with you. This is back to July. But again, you can kind of make something here. And that's been in range since July. So August, September, October, November, December, January. 6 months. That's been in range between these two. So then you go on here and you can adjust these to see, like that, what the APY will be if you reduce it. So you can see over 365 days, 71%, but off 10K, you're getting back 6K a year within this range back to July. Right? So if you generated 6K worth of fees by the time you pull your initial investment out, even if your initial investment, let's say here is 9,300, even if that goes down to say 8, you've clearly made profit, you know? And you could be compounding it as well. So if you put in more back in, then obviously it's going to make the value of these two go up. So if you're earning so much pump and sol, you know, as time goes on, you know, this is going to go up, you know, and everything compounds. So you've got to think of a strategy, and you've got to think of a way to play it smart, not be greedy, set ranges smartly, and record everything accordingly. And again, check the free DeFi guide if you want. And also, you can check booking a call with the guys if you want to join the community. You know, I've got a free Telegram group, got the free DeFi guide. Ask any questions about any pools on here. A lot of guys were asking me as well about XRP pools. So if you go on VFAT, and a little tip I'll give you as well is just have a look at all the different chains. So if you look at XRP, I'm not going to lie, there's the APRs aren't great for XRP. So we've got, for the chain, Base and Binance Smart Chain. These are the two ones it's on. So we've got an ETH XRP pool at 34%. Range is only 20% on that. God, this is a bad range actually. On a BTC one. Slightly better range for an XRP wrapped BNB pool, 20% APR, and a 37% one. But if you're stuck and thinking, what pool should I use? What pool should I use? Or what crypto do you believe in? All you need to do then, like I said, is do your homework. Go down here. Maybe you want to use BTC in a pool. Right. Go back on VFAT. BTC. Right. What are the BTC pools? They've got a 60% one here with 28% width. This is USDT. So you're accumulating stablecoin and BTC. BTC wrap BNB one at 12%. We've got that's 2% range. That's bad. 30% range, width 77%. A wrap BTC USDC pool. And this is what you've got to do. Just it takes time sometimes to look through. And obviously, this is what we do with the guys. Look at ranges, look at positions, look at what coins you like. Because we're not telling you what to buy. We're just showing you what you can do with what you've got. You've actually got here an ETH to ETH pool. Earning 10%. That's like staking in a way. ETH to USDC pool, 123. There's so many as well to kind of look through. And so many different chains that are available. And then you can go back on here. We looked at Solana, looked at XRP. Right, let's just say you have Dogecoin. Is there any Dogecoin ones? Haha. Nah. Oh, yeah. See, there is a 9% width. You can adjust the widths, by the way. This is where you have to look at some charts, do a bit of digging, do a bit of research. See this one here, 33%. You're getting Doge and wrap BNB. Bitcoin Cash, one of the guys in our group is obsessed with Bitcoin Cash. Got a Bitcoin Cash wrapped BNB pool, 317%. That's around about 28, 25, 26% monthly for that. Chainlink. Let's have a look what we got for Chainlink. Here we go. ETH Chainlink pool, width 60%. Uniswap. This is around 12% a month. You're getting back in ETH and Chainlink. And one thing I want you guys to think about as well, and this is what we've had on, you know, people with impermanent loss and getting worried about assets dropping. Look at where we are in the market, you know. Assets have dropped already. So, me personally, yes, they can go down and they will go down. And they will go up. But what I will say is, it's a lot better, and this is just common sense. It is a lot better looking to do this now than when everything was at its all-time high, right? So if you were looking at DeFi pools when Solana is here, of course that's more risky. Yeah. But we've halved since then. Yeah. And you could say, oh, well, it could go back down. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But if you just held it, it could go down. You know? If you just hold Solana, it could go down anywhere. So for me personally, when I go back to the pool I've got, this one, which is earning me, why does it have to be that number? Why does it have to be that number? Can we refresh? Yeah, see, you can see what it's earning me a month. 666 off 2,700. Does this mean that you watching should go into this pool now? No, because you may not like Keter. You may not like ETH. So it's pointless. And you should not go out and buy this coin just to chase the yield, because this is variable and you've got to test it. You've got to note down what you're earning. I set this up last night and it's earned 22 in a day, and it says daily roads are 21. So it's slightly better than what it says. But you've got to test it. This is a day old, you know? What I get in a week may be a lot less than what it says here. What I get in a month may be less than here. But you've got to record stuff. You've got to check stuff. You've got to understand how everything works. And that's why we say to the guys in the group, test, 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 test. Because without testing stuff, without writing down, without using the spreadsheets that we give to mark down what you've got, then you don't know. You don't know. And then when something happens, you don't understand how it works. And one thing I say to the guys as well is to learn, put $50 in a pool, right? Put it on an extremely tight range. Let it go out of range, right? Let it go out of range. See what happens. See what happens. Yeah? Because then you can experience it. So you could go on here. Let's just say you've got Ethereum. And let's just say you were interested in this oh no, ignore that. Let's say you're interested in, let's see one that's half decent, this one, right? Ignore everything on here before. Let's just say this is an example. Do this. Yeah. Maybe not that. Pull out the width like 4%. Put $50 in. Watch it go out. Note down the value of what you entered in. Let it go out of range and see how it behaves. Then you know. Right? Or put it a bit more. 10%. See how it behaves. And again, let it get to the point where it goes out of range and note down. 1, what fees did you earn? Well, 1, what did you deposit? 2, what fees did you earn? 3, which way did the pool go and what did you accumulate or what did you lose? Then you understand how the pool works at scale. Yeah? So then you know at scale, well, with my $50, or let's just say $100, in this time frame, I mean, it's not going to be exact because fees can vary, but you can get a rough idea. So you could say, I had $100 in this particular pool. When it went out of range, it went out of range to the top side or the bottom side. This is what I put in. This is what I came out with. This is what fees I earned. Now I know if that happens at scale, what is going to happen. Then, or what you could even do is just test a wider range next time. Right, so I know I've had this for 7 days. It's gone out of range. This is how many fees I've earned. This is what happens to the top side. This is what happens to the bottom side. Right, I understand it more now for when or if the time happens. But again, you can't just keep thinking negatively, like, oh God, it's going to crash tomorrow. Like, because at the end of the day, that's crypto. That is everything. It's stocks, it's shares, it's it's the stock market. We've all see what happened in 2008. So that's it. But if you're not prepared for highs and lows, if you're not prepared for learning this, then go back to the 2.55 variable interest rate that is comparable with Halifax or Santander, which is less than the 3 point whatever they say is inflation, which, let's be honest, is probably more. I go to Tesco and the price of steak at Tesco has gone up a hell of a lot since last time. I go out for a beer, right? The price of a pint is like pushing £6 or more. Right? I don't even live somewhere expensive, right? In London, is it a tenner? Probably. Dublin, 12 euro a Guinness. Insane. But 10 years ago, was it half that price? So you're just losing money with it in the bank. And for me personally, that's why I refuse to leave crypto. But also that's why I refuse to just hold on to my crypto and not do anything with it and just let it sit there, because that's not the type of person I am. But again, DeFi is not for everyone, DeFi is not for everyone. But if you're disciplined, if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to put some time in and understand how this works, I believe it is a good way to use your crypto, because all you're doing is using your existing assets to generate more. And if you get the right combination of a good pool, a good range, with enough in to generate you the yield to cover it, if it does go out of range at a certain point, happy days, And this is what I say with a lot of people that will comment on a video and they'll say, oh, well, I went into a pool and I lost money. I've known loads of people have used them, they're risky, I've lost money. It's probably because these people have entered a liquidity pool. They've not noted down what they've got in with. They've not noted how many fees they've got. They've put too tight a range. They've got shit coins. They've gone out of range quickly, taken it out, maybe not waited for it to go back in range. There's so many variables, but 99% of the time, it's just not knowing what to do, right? And that's the same thing with newbies or, boomers who don't want to get into crypto because, buying Bitcoin's too risky. It goes down 20%, blah, blah, blah. Because they don't understand it. They don't understand it. And the same boomers said that about email, and there's probably still some using a typewriter. I always take the piss out of my mate who I call a boomer, and he's younger than me because he's very old school. But that's a story for another day. I've got to go anyway. Short stream today. But if you want further help, if you want to learn this stuff, you can do for free. The information's out there for you. Just look back on all my streams, look back on the videos. If you want to have something to read through, I've got the DeFi guide, which is free. Or if you want to make a call to join the group with the community, there's weekly calls every week. You have an onboarding call with us to go through the pools and help you understand everything. You can do as well. So there's loads of areas of support available for you. But yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, please like, subscribe. I'll be back for a few more. Maybe another one this week. We'll see. And I'll see you guys very soon.